All righty. So we're going to go ahead and get started. There'll probably be a few people that will jump in towards the end. This is a normal Zoom meeting. It's not a webinar, so feel free to unmute yourself, say something, jump on camera if you want, throw anything in the chat, any questions and things like that you may have. Hopefully we can keep this as interactive as possible. But I guess I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Jimmy McNally. I am a sales manager and realtor down here in Century 21 Beggins down in the Tampa area in Florida. This training is not set up through Century 21. I'm not a corporate employee for Moxi, for Century 21, anywhere, Realty, sorry. I'm just a person. And the nice thing is I've had the ability of being able to roll out Moxi for our brokerage from start to finish. And I've had a lot of people reach out and ask some questions, and I feel like I just want to help. So today is all about going over some best practices around, Moxi and kind of the trials and tribulations that, we ran into as a brokerage, but also, if you have some questions that, you need answered, I'll be glad to try and answer them as best that I can. Again, I'm not employed by Moxi, so I don't think I'm a Moxi employee trying to say how awesome this platform actually is, even though it is pretty friggin' awesome. I'm just here again to help out as much as possible. So if anybody on the call, if you wouldn't mind, why don't we throw in where everybody's from? If you're an agent, if you're a manager, if you're a broker, throw that in the chat. Let me see who we have on the call with us today. I'm planning on doing pretty much a weekly training with Moxi. Today, we're going to start off with some best practices. So it's just going to be a lot of conversation and showing you a few things. And then next week, I was planning on literally each week going into individual modules. So today will be best practices. Next week will be Moxi Present. The week after, Moxi Engage, things like that. But, I'm at my office. Like I said, I help launch Moxi for the entire brokerage. We have 8 offices down here in Florida, over 400 agents. And again, I had the pleasure of being able to help roll this out to everyone. And even though you're going to hear me praise Moxi and how awesome I think that this system is, I don't want everybody to think that I'm just, that this was a perfect rollout and we didn't have any issues. I'm sure anybody on this call probably feels that, there's some hiccups here and there. And one of my first words of advice for anything with this is a huge launch for Century 21 and just anywhere in general. It is, it's a big deal. And, most of the time when there's new shiny objects that come out, like if it's, I'm the type of guy that a new phone comes out, I'm buying it. And some new tech, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to figure it out. And that's kind of what I did with this. And along that way, I've been able to help other brokerages and other agents, kind of roll out with Moxi. So, but the downfall with Moxi is its technology, and you have to play around with it and you have to learn it, even though it sounds freaking awesome and it does have a lot of capabilities. And there's some pain points from some of our prior things like Zap and Business Builder that, Moxi, I think, addresses pretty nicely. You have to get in and you have to learn it. And that's probably one of the biggest pain points is you're used to using something that you've been using for a long time. Let's say it's Business Builder or Market Leader. Now Zap could be a different story. I've heard, I came on board as a real estate agent when Zap first came out. So that's all I learned. That's all I knew. And anytime that it's away from the norm, people get a little bit nervous with it. Is it going to work the same? Is it going to do this? Is it going to do that? You do have to relearn a system to do it. But once you do, I'll tell you, the efficiency is pretty amazing. And then just from numbers with Moxi for the brokerages and Moxi in general, not just Century 21, but across the board with Moxi, if you have a highly engaged agent using Moxi Present, they have a 77% increase in transactions versus those that do not. Okay. So as an agent, I hear 77% more transactions. Now, obviously that's not for all real estate agents. That's just the companies that have Moxi and are using it. That's what they're seeing. And then if they use Moxi Engage, they're seeing a 52% increase in revenue. Now, that obviously with the way the market is, we know revenue is going to go up if you're selling stuff anyway, just because of what's happening in the market, which could be cooling off in others. We're not here to talk about that. We're just here to kind of discuss these best practices. So feel free throughout if you want to throw some questions, anything that you have. I'll try to answer them live here. And then some of it I may push to when we're actually going to actually do that. And if there's something you see towards the end, I don't want to take everybody's day going through this, because I could probably talk for hours on Moxi, but it can be a lot of overload when you're learning a new technology. It really, really can be. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen right now. Let's see. Let me see what we got. We got Winter Haven. Oh, I know Meredith. Hi, Meredith. How you doing? Georgia, North Carolina. All right, so we have brokers and agents. This is fantastic. So I will be going over today, we will be focusing on best practices for both. So some of this may not necessarily be perfect for everyone on certain aspects, because I do want to go over as a brokerage some of the things that you can do before launch, prior launch. Actually, if I can get everybody on here, can you comment and let me know? There's a few that said that they're implementing Moxi right now. There is, if you can let me know if you have launched, if you haven't, because that will also help me kind of push along some of these best practices. Because if we've already done it, then I still want to kind of let you know what we did here. And then the things that I'm going to tell you are not just things that we've done. Like some things I learned and we had to change direction on how we were launching. So William, cool. So 3 months ago, I'll let you know for our brokerage, we started Moxi Present at the end of October, beginning of November. And then we just finished launching a few months ago. So, all right, cool. So we have not launched, scheduled launch July. Very cool. Early adopter, but in process. Thank you, Joe. 3 months ago. August. Okay, cool. So, all right, just if I could get a thumbs up or something, let me know you see my little presentation here. That would be fantastic. Don or Candace, since you're the only two that have a camera on, would you mind giving me a thumbs up? Thank you. All right, awesome. So again, in this presentation, I've actually done I did a presentation in 121, so the convention that we had in Vegas in March. So this is a similar presentation with some updates that I have made based on where we were in March and where we are now, because I will tell you that going through some of this stuff, you kind of have to change the way that you're kind of looking at some stuff. So this is similar to that, and I can actually share this presentation with you if you'd like after. I figured I'd send everybody the recording that's on the call today, and I'll send out the presentation and some links for you that I highly recommend that you get into. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with, on the agent standpoint. Okay, so I'm going to talk about pre-launch, kind of preparing for Moxi as it comes out as an agent. And then once we hit launch and post-launch, some things that I've seen that work that I wish we would have done better. And maybe some things that you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I might need to go ahead and kind of step back and go back and do a couple of these things. So, and like I said before, for those that even jumped on, I do not work for Century 21 corporate. I do not work for Realogy or Moxi. I'm just a guy that is willing to help out as much as I can. And since I've gone through it, why not show you the trials and tribulations that we went through to hopefully enable the engagement in your brokerage or yourself to be a little bit better. Okay. Let's see. Next slide here. This is my information. I'll put this at the end and also send it out in an email. Feel free at any time to shoot me an email, shoot me a text, call me. You'll actually see in the email, I have a little Calendly link at the bottom. And I've helped out multiple brokerages with their launch and answering questions and helping them through some of the process. So, if you feel you need a little bit more one-on-one time and you're not quite getting it, or you want another aspect of, how someone else is looking at it, on the bottom of my email, when you'll get at the end of the day, you'll get my Calendly link. It says click an appointment. Set up an appointment with me if you want. We can sit down and chat where we can kind of look at some things on an individual basis, because everything is a little different for everyone. And this is more of a broad overview. Like I said, we're going to be discussing kind of pre-launch and post-launch for brokers and agents. And if we have time, I can go over some of the Moxi Present templates and stuff that we made. Some of you may have seen a slide like this, but this is the full suite of services that are coming out along with Leads Engine, which is taking over Lead Router. Most of you, when you start your launch, you'll kind of start off with the marketing platform, which is going to be Moxi Present and Moxi Impress. Moxi Present is going to take over your toolkit CMA, make some very beautiful and professional. I say sexy all the time because I think they look sexy when you actually make these presentations and send them out. Moxi Impress is going to be kind of like your auto-generated projects from listings, sold, open houses, things like that can make it very easy, similar to what Business Builder kind of does, but automatically done for you and looking pretty fantastic. And again, with all these modules, I'm going to have a specific training on each one where we'll go more in depth and really dig into it. Moxi websites, they look really good compared to Zap. And honestly, when you look at the customizability of the websites are fantastic. It all depends as an agent what you want to do. They make it very easy if you don't want to do a ton, but if you are that person like me who likes the new shiny object and likes the new tech, I spent time playing around and making my own custom pages and really making it my own. Moxi Engage is the new CRM that takes over Zap. Again, we'll kind of discuss more of that. And then Moxi Talent is going to be on the management standpoint and broker on recruiting and retention. Now, before we get into these best practices, I'm going to show you these 4 options here, which I will put in chat at the end of the meeting, and I'll also send it out via email. I get a lot of questions on where do I find training all the time. Where do I find training? So I'm going to show you on 21 Online. I'm going to show you how the help feature works and where you can get some answers there. I'm going to show you the Moxi Works education link. And I'm also going to send out the link for Moxi Works hours. Okay, so 21 Online, the C21 University, hopefully all of you know. Let me make sure there's nobody. Oops, went too far. 1 second, technical issues. No, we're good. Okay. 21 Online and C21 University. This has actually changed considerably when it comes down to Moxi and finding the information. So let me go ahead and just kind of show you. We're going to stay connected. Can I get a thumbs up to let me know that we are on 21 Online and you guys can see that? Pretty please. Thank you. You rock, Candace. Thank you. Okay, so there's a couple ways to log into Moxi too. I'm going to actually discuss that as we get a little bit further. But for those of you that have launched, or when you're getting when you actually launch, you will have the tiles available for you to access all of the Moxi Work stuff. So in this case, I'm going to show you through 21 Online, one of the options to get to C21 University, so you can see the training there, and then also how to find and log in to Moxi. This is all in the Productivity Hub. Oh, I got a question. Got it. Thank you. So as you go in the Productivity Hub, I always make a joke about this, but it's all in alphabetical order. Okay. So if you want C21 University, we're going to go to C, and then I'll just show you where Moxi is. You're going to see this down here with Moxi Engage, Moxi Impress. Now, when you launch, if you, let's say you're just launching Moxi Present first, you're not going to have these other tiles available. You're only going to have the Moxi Present one. Same thing when Engage goes, you'll have that. When Impress, you'll have those there. All you have to do is click on Learn More, and then you can access. So once you have gone live with these, you will be able to access, and I'll show you that. Now, in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to, I don't like that up there. I need to move you. We're going to go ahead to C21 University. Now, one of the cool things that they've added here, which was not there when we launched, is you have a little tab here called Moxi Works. So if this tab is available, you'll see, and this is great because Century 21 has taken the feedback from all the early adopters and are really trying to make sure that they deliver some really good training and some really good material for you. So as you have questions and you want to, if you're getting ready to launch, getting in here and starting to learn how to do some of the things is something I highly, highly recommend. You'll have Moxi Works 101 here, 201, 301. So just to kind of give you an idea, you can come through here and it basically will dig in specifically on what you want more information on. So after you do the basic training, I can come in here and I can sign up and have a live webinar training with somebody on Moxi websites or Moxi Present or getting into Engage or just getting into Moxi Works in general. So this is one great avenue when anybody says, hey, I need more training. You can send them here, or you can go here yourself, register, and make sure you jump on some of those live classes. There's a lot of best practices that happen. So I would ensure that you kind of take that time. If you're the type of person that needs more training, not just the regular training that you're going to get from Century 21 when you launch, but if you want some more hands-on and learn more things, this is one option that you have here. Okay. The next one that we have on the list here is the help feature. So I will tell you, one of the reasons I've learned so much and have figured out how to handle things is actually going into Moxi. And in this case, let me pull up Moxi Present real quick. So as you pull in Moxi, and this is, well, there's a few things I love about this. You know, when I walk you through on 21 Online, when you went to Productivity HUD, clicked on engage, present, whatever it is. Once you pull up a page and you actually have Moxi, it's that one login that will get you to all of it. So you have Moxi Present, Moxi Engage, my website, Impress. It's all here. You don't have to go and sign into 6 different things to be able to make it work, which is fantastic. The other recommendation I have is come up here and save this website as a favorite. That way, when all you have to do is click on, like I did, I clicked on Moxi, it takes me right here. I only have to log in that one time. Yes, it saves me 3 or 4 clicks going through 21 Online, but boom, it's done. But this is also where you're going to get support. If you click this help button down here, and again, this is where I get a ton of answers when I have questions, because everybody comes to me and says, Jimmy, you're Moxi man. You know all this stuff. You know all the answers. Well, I don't know them from just doing it. I know it by going on here, asking questions. So when you're on any page with Moxi, you have this little red box. Come in here, type in your question. A lot of times what will happen is it's going to pull up an article or a support video or article that you can actually go in and how to create or import from Dropbox, set up like there's a whole bunch of different things that you can put in here and it'll take you right to the support. Or you can click on during business hours. I like that, Joe. I didn't realize you could use that. So I'm going to steal that. Thank you very much for that, Joe. You can click on get in touch and you can actually chat with someone. So if I don't know how to do something and I can't find an article on it and I can't find the training on it, that's where I go. Now it sucks as an agent to always have to go and do that kind of stuff if you can't find it. But if you're not going to take the time to do the training, a lot of these questions can be found on Moxi's website and through this chat functionality. I highly recommend to use it. That's, again, 9 out of 10 times I get my answers taken care of. If I can't, and it's a little bit one-off, I'll go through the support functionality, send in a ticket, all that kind of stuff that we have there. The other option that you have when it comes down to learning is, and again, I will send this out. You know what, why not put it in chat now? Go to education.moxiworks.com. This is where I started, because what's going to happen is you're going to launch it. And as a broker, you have about a week, maybe 2 weeks to learn how to do it so you can teach it out to everybody. That's how fast this launch happens. So if you take the time, go to this. Well, this is where I learned everything. It literally will go through and it's step by step. It's actually really, really cool, because if you're not sure, like throughout your website process, I can come in here. We definitely do not want to listen to this right now. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. I can literally go through the training and find what I need to. I want to figure out how to create a property list. So instead of watching a 2-hour-long video to find out how to do something, I can typically find something through here. But this is where I would start. So anybody that is getting ready to launch soon and has not, go in here now and start taking some of these. Go on to 21 Online, do the same thing. For those of you who have launched and aren't that comfortable, go do some of these modules. They're self-paced. Once you do have to register for them, doesn't cost anything. But once you register, they give you a weekly reminder, hey, you need to finish this course. And so it can keep you on top of it. And then finally, the last piece that I like to go for help, or if I need anything, is support.moxiworks.com. So if I'm not sure how to do something, I can, first off, on the left side here, I can scroll down and I can go into, now we don't have all of these things, like we don't have Moxi Balance, but you can go through and I can go through Moxi Present and it's going to give you some tutorials here. Or I can come in here and I can search. So I need to know how to add a contact into Moxi Engage. I can click here. I typed it in. It's pretty quick and actually walks you through it with pictures of what you need to do. Now, ours looks a little bit different because we're Century 21. You won't see this blue. but still pretty cool. So any questions on where to find some training? Anybody got anything so far? All right, I'm gonna keep rocking and rolling. All right, let's get into some best practice. So prior to launch, and again, if you've already launched, I apologize, but hey, let's look at these things anyways. We've already hit on the C21 University training. Take some time, go in there, sign up for some classes, learn you some stuff, have some fun with it, and pick the classes that you want to learn more on. Moxi training website, I showed you that. I did not show you the Moxi Works hours. This is something I highly recommend. I'll send this out also. Moxi Works hours is a class giving every other week for an hour through, and it's, you may see me on it sometimes. You're going to see some of the other Realogy and Century 21 and other agents actually giving these trainings, but these are literally, so the next one that's coming up, you can see where you can choose sign up. Again, it's free, but literally they're going to walk you through. So on May 26th, they walked how to create a new search in Moxi Engage. So this is a great avenue for you to jump on, and it's not just for a product champion. It's not just for a brokerage or manager. Anybody that wants to learn more, this is something that is live every other week. You can jump in and learn how to do a quick little thing, which is pretty sweet. All right, cool. Some other best practices. So one of the biggest things that we ran into is, well, there's a couple of things. How many, I don't know how many agents on here have been here forever. I don't say forever. Let's say anyone here, anybody an agent more than 15 years, raise your hand or throw it in the chat. Anybody that has like thousands and thousands of contacts that you've been moving from all this different stuff, right? Like there's a lot of stuff going on. But one of the things I would recommend, highly recommend, which I don't think we did as good as we could have as a launch, is to really teach the agents, and as an agent, take the time to work your database. Okay, when I say database, it's Zap, Market Leader, Business Builder. This is your time to clean up your database. Okay, you're going to hear me say it later, and I might say it more than once, but garbage in, garbage out. As you bring these contacts over to Moxi Engage, so you can start working them. If you have dead leads, stuff that's not correct, like get rid of them. This is a great time for you to look at your pipeline that you have now and really get rid of the garbage that's in there, so it's a little bit cleaner when you get into it. The other thing prior to launch too is with Moxi, it attaches either to Office 365 or Google. Okay, that's the source of truth. And what that means, so for us, we use Google, so Gmail. So what that means is Engage syncs with your Google Calendar, with your email. Okay, so when you send out an email through Engage, it's coming directly from your Gmail. It's not getting copied like with Zap. It would come out and make it look like it's coming from you. This is coming directly from your email. But what this means is it's going to sync up your contacts in Google. So if you don't know if you have any contacts in Google, one of my recommendations before you go into Moxi, if you've already launched but you just haven't done Engage yet, there's a email migration, the first thing that you do where you sync your email to it, right? I highly recommend going to your Google contacts and make sure that they're up to date too. I'll give you an example. My broker had 4,500 contacts in his Google contacts. That was before any syncing with Zap or Business Builder or any other CRM. So it can get very overwhelming for agents when you come in and you don't realize that your Google contacts are going to come in. Okay. Then you're going to pull in all your contacts from Zap and Business Builder or upload all of your CRM, whatever that might look like for you. It can be very overwhelming. And then learning how to use everything is the same thing. So one of the things that we did is we kind of slowed down our Moxi Engage launch. And for the agents that did have a lot of Google contacts, because when everything comes in, it's just data. They're just people. You need to decide when you get into Moxi Engage, are they part of your pipeline or not? Are you going to be working with them? Are they another real estate agent that you're not going to be setting up on a follow-up plan or campaigns on, why to use Century 21? You're going to need to take the time to do that. So one of the things we did is we slowed down, spent time on the Google standpoint. Then after they were comfortable using the system, hold on one second. Oh, I thought I had another one in there. Then once they were comfortable using the system, then we did the migration over from Zap and Business Builder, which again just brings in data, and then from there they would work those, get them where they needed to be. if they're a client or if they're not a client, basically. And then as you start setting everybody up on searches and things like that, like if you have somebody in Zap and someone in Business Builder that are already on campaigns, you don't want two of the same campaigns going out. Like, let's say you have a holiday campaign in Business Builder and you put a holiday campaign engaged. Do you want two emails going out on Christmas? That could look different. Who knows? So what you want to do is that third part for us is once you have sunk up and you're ready to go is to turn. If I'm going to, Don, I'm going to use you as an example. You're in my Zap right now. You're already set up on a search. You're set up on some campaigns. I got you on Business Builder with like holiday stuff, whatever that looks like. I bring you into Moxi Engage. And once I decide to set you up on campaigns in there, I'm going to go and turn you off in Zap. So that way you're not getting twofold. Okay. So for me, that's kind of the next step. Now, if you're a brand new agent and you don't have a lot of contacts that are anywhere, then it really doesn't matter which way you go. So Candace asked, just to be clear, the contacts from our email, ours is office, will automatically sync into Moxi. Yes. So you will, if you have contacts in your email, then yes, you will. Now, this is the thing that threw us off a tiny bit too, because I actually sync my phone with my contacts on Google. So the cool thing with this is actually, I love this. I can take Don's information, put it in my phone right now. And by the time I'm done with this training, I'll go into Engage and he'll be in Moxi Engage for me. All I have to do is identify if he's a client or not, which is cool. But what if you have 7,000 contacts on your phone? If you have that turned on, that's how many contacts you could possibly have in your Google, which again, can be overwhelming for an agent. So taking the time before launch to kind of clean all that stuff up, I think is very, very important for a smooth launch for you as you go forward. To do that, literally, if you're going to be launching, take 20 to 30 minutes, maybe not a day, maybe you do it if you're not launching till July or August, do it once a week, take your time to clean it up. So by the time you launch, you're ready to kind of have clean contacts where you can go and focus on getting them set up and getting them worked on in Engage compared to taking all the time to get people out. Okay. Any questions so far? Nothing else? Oh, here we go. Okay. Recommended process for adding and removing clients. So Joe, it depends. So Joe, did you say you've already launched, right? Let me go back. I'm sorry. Early adopter in process. Got it. So deleting a user. So this is how this works with Engage. If I go in and delete somebody Engage, now again, I said Google is the truth. So if I add someone in Engage, they're going to go in my Google contacts. If I add someone in my Google contacts, they're going to sync over to Moxi Engage. Okay. If I want to completely delete them out of my system, I don't want them in Google contacts or any of that, you have to delete them from Google. If I go into Moxi Engage, one sec. Moxi Engage, I can delete them from Engage. They will not go out of my Google contacts. So my recommendation post-launch, and I'll kind of walk you through it, but one of my recommendations for post-launch is, let me see, I might actually, if I'm talking about it in a second, then I will wait. Probably not. Of course I'm not. So I'll talk about it now before I forget. So this is Engage. This is all of my people. One of the things I would recommend after launch is after you do it is when you get here. And again, I'm going to go through this more when we do the Engage class, but I would spend the time after launch to go to this thing called Category Wizard, which will actually pull up your contacts in 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see that this isn't actually my account. This is one of my other managers. He has 937 people that he has not told this system that they're a client or they're not. And what I would do is I would go through here and this is what I recommend for all my agents. Take 15 minutes a day, do 6 to 24 of these. And just because this is what's going in your pipeline. If I'm a client, I am, if not here, but here I can also do a non-client and I can remove them from Engage. Just because they're removed from Engage does not mean they're removed from my Google contacts. Because you may want them still in your Google contacts. So you just have to decide on that. And like I said, we'll do more of that when we get into it. Other things prior to launch, take the time now, update your freaking headshot. Okay. If you haven't had a picture done in 20 years, it's time for you to do that. This is a great opportunity for you to go and update that headshot for you. Okay. Same thing with your bio. This is a great opportunity to maybe go in and kind of clean that up, add some things, whatever that might look like. The thing is you cannot update your headshot or your bio yourself in Moxi. So you will have to send that and get that updated in Dash. So whoever your manager or admin or whoever does that, maybe you do as an agent, but take the time now to get it done. So once you do launch, you can have an updated picture that's in there and an updated bio. So you don't have to worry about it. Cause I get that a lot, man. I wish I had updated my bio. Well, go ahead and update it, send it in, we'll get it done, but let's get it done before, let's take the time now, have it ready to go. And one of the other things is domain. So does anybody on this call right now own their own domain? Like I have jimmymcnally.com. That's what I own. That's my website. That's what points to my Century 21. Anybody else do that? No one? Yeah. Okay. Well, for those of you that do, now's the time to make sure you know the account information so you can log in, because with Moxi website, you're able to point that website directly to the one that you own. So if you go to jimmymcnally.com right now, that's what comes up is the Moxi website. But take the time now to make sure you have that login information, because when you do launch Moxi websites, it will make the process easier to do that. All right, cool. Next up, let's talk about Moxi Engage post-launch. I think we already kind of talked about it, but still continue after you launch to clean up your database. So after you do the launch, if you have not finished it up, you're going to need to do it anyways. I already talked about the 3-step approach. So working with contacts that migrate from your email first. There is an option when you get into Moxi to do a migration from Zap or Business Builder. I would recommend not to do that unless you are ready to kind of work with all of those contacts at one time, but you can. Next up, again, upload your contacts from Zap. We kind of talked about this 3-step approach there. So that's my take on Moxi right after you launch to start getting comfortable with it. Attend Moxi Works hours, bi-weekly calls. We already talked about that. That will help kind of sharpen the tool and get more comfortable using it. Highly recommend for Moxi Present and for Moxi, any of Moxi, but make a personal account in Moxi Engage. So take a personal email that you have and add that into Moxi Engage, so you can see what happens when it gets attached to Google Contacts. So you can see what neighborhood news looks like. So you can see how to set up a search and what that looks like. And you get to see it on both sides. You get to see it obviously as an agent of how do I set it up? So if you screw it up, who are you screwing up? You're screwing up yourself or your wife or your kid, whoever you're going to set up in there so you can see how everything works. You set up a campaign, you can do all that kind of stuff. Set up a personal account so you get comfy with it. Hands down is probably one of the best things to do. Practice making presentations and CMAs and send them to yourself. So again, that way, if you screw it up or you don't like the way it looks, you're not sending it to a client that you could possibly lose business for. Okay. I would highly, highly recommend doing that and playing around with it, because it really will get you more acquainted with the system. And on both standpoints, on the consumer, you see what it looks like when they get an email about neighborhood news. Now, neighborhood news, for you, those of you who do not have Moxi yet, that is a monthly newsletter you can set up your clients for, that automatically will go out based on a zip code or based on a custom search area, maybe a community or something like that. And they can see what's happening in the market. Again, when we get into Moxi Engage and we do that training in the next couple of weeks, I'll walk you through how to set that up and what it looks like. But it's kind of like a set it and forget it. And if your client wants to look at a different zip code and have that set up, they can do that. But it's an easy touch point. If you put that on a client, that's 12 touch points without doing anything in a year. Okay. Other thing that you want to do post-launch is when you do get into Engage and you have access to it, is you want to set up groups, because it's very easy to do bulk actions for your clients. So if you have like for instance, here, I'll give you a real example. I get this all the time. I don't want any personal contacts in my CRM. You're going to notice if you do have your contacts synced with Google, like I have a lot of real estate agents that are are in my Google contacts, so they come over to CRM. Now, again, I don't need to market to them as a buyer or a seller. They don't need to be in my sales flow, which talks about tasks you should do when you have a prospect and stuff. But I still want them in my CRM. So if I separate them into a group, I can take those 50 real estate agents that are in my CRM, and I could set them all up for, let's say, new listing alerts and new sold alerts. I know I get them all the time from agents. When they put a new property on the market, I get emails all the time. What if I told you with Engage, it's done automatically as long as you select them to do that? Some basically free marketing that's done instantaneously. When that hits the market, well, it does go through Dash and then it'll send it out. You don't have to do anything. So if you have them set up in groups, it's easier to search. Okay. Use the category wizard. I put 20 contacts a day. I kind of showed you what that looks like on Engage. This right here, take the time, because again, it's just data. If you put 300 people in here, it's just 300 people. You need to see who needs to be in your pipeline. Who should I be working with? Should I be working with a client or someone who's not? And again, I'll go through more training of that once we get to that. But definitely take the time to do that now. Schedule time specifically for betting yourself. It's new technology. I know I've already hit it. It takes time to learn the system and get efficient with it. I can do a CMA in probably 45 seconds. But if you go to my Moxi Present, you're going to see that since launch, I've probably personally made 450 presentations. Some of them for training, some of them for clients. Moxi Present I use for other things like recruiting and like monthly newsletters and stuff like that. But take the time when you do launch, even if it's 30 minutes a week, to better yourself and understand how to use it. One thing I like to show, and have people do, and I know I kind of talked about it, but you're making presentations for yourself, CMAs, do it on your house. Like, just do it every other week, just so you can see what the numbers look like. But not just that, but you get the capability of being comfortable pulling up properties. What does that search look like? How do I filter it correctly? And then the next thing that I did is I just went to all my friends and family members and neighbors and said, hey, I got this really cool new thing. You mind if I send you a pricing analysis? I just want to show you how awesome it is. And I can show you what some of those look like if you have not done that yet. All right, next up, I did talk about garbage in, garbage out. Take the time to identify your clients, who should be in there, who shouldn't be in there. And then, Joe said, save the URL. I already talked about that. He used the one, mymoxiworks century21.com. That's great too. All right, let's talk about present and impress. Some things that you're going to do post-launch. So I'll get to the broker, what we did on the broker standpoint to make it, I think, easier for our agents to use it. But, there's some things that you do want, I recommend to have done after you launch Moxi Present. The nice thing with Moxi Present is you get to make your own presentation pages. And once you save them, you can use them all the time. So I would make a testimonial page for your presentations. And if we have time, I'll show you what that looks like here. But have that done so you can add that to every presentation that you send, not just a normal bio, hey, why work with me, but really showing what your clients are saying. Make a video page for your presentations. Okay, this takes a little bit of time, but once you get comfortable with it, one of the things that I like to coach out and what I do personally is after I go on a listing preview, before I'm doing a listing presentation, I will make a video that I will put into my presentation. So the first thing that my client sees is my face saying, hey, Candace, thank you so much for allowing me to come by and take a look at your house. I truly look forward to helping you through this process. Please take a look at this presentation, as it's going to give you some great information on what to expect on selling your home. Let me know if you have any other questions. So very personal, specifically to Candace. And then as she goes down, it literally will have our seller package that will let them know what we do a Century 21 for them. I talked about this already, but making CMAs I talked about friends and family. This is a great opportunity to have something cool, sexy, professional to every one of your past clients. I'm going to give you an example. I had a contest for this when we first launched, and I had an agent do, I think it was like 75 presentations. Okay. 75 presentations in a month. She only had 5 people respond. but she mailed them out to them and called them, had 5 people respond and got 2 listings for 75 presentations that now takes her less than 5 minutes to do. And it was just, hey, I just want to let you know what's going on for her past clients and some other people and friends and family. So I recommend to do that. And I actually have agents that are doing that on a weekly basis to be able to reach out to their past clients. And you know what, as a real estate agent, we owe it to our past clients to let them know what their value of their home is. Not to try to sell it for them again, but that's our job. You know, that's our job. Some other things you can actually do. I teach farming. So digital farming with Moxi Engage, where you can, we use Remine with MLS and are able to literally digitally farm and send everything from presentations to campaigns to CMAs. But you can actually use Moxi Present for this and Moxi Engage. Using CMAs for absentee owners, that's something that has worked very well for us too. Make a page that you can add to your presentations for your network partners like mortgage brokers, inspectors, house cleaners, you know, whatever, all those connections that you have. You only got to do it once. Once you do it that one time, it's a report page you can add to everything that you want. Practice making projects in Moxi Impress. Now, when you have a listing that goes live, or you sell one, or there's a price decrease, or there's an open house, Moxi Impress automatically generates projects for you. My recommendation is to go in and play around with them so you're comfortable with them. But I'll tell you, I had an agent call me the other day and say, hey, I forgot to print open house flyers, went to the office, went to Moxi Impress. I was out in 4 minutes. Done. You can also sync it to social media so you can start posting my just sold, just listed, pending, all that kind of stuff. And then the other thing I would do is after you get somewhat comfortable with Moxi Present is to go in and make some templates yourself. And so if you like the way a report page looks or you like a way a presentation, you can actually adjust it the way you want and make it your own template. And then you can have it ready to go every single time you're ready to do a listing presentation or buyer presentation. Any questions so far? Man, it's already 1:45. I'm taking forever. Hopefully you guys are getting something out of this. I really do appreciate you jumping on here and spending some time with me. Okay. And then last up on the agent standpoint was websites. Once you get into the websites, it's really not that hard. Just follow the home screen and go and to set up your website. You will need to get all your social media accounts, new pictures, updated bio, and your new website link need to be put into Dash. Okay. When you launch Moxi websites, like my website is good right now, but remember, Zap is still there. Business Builder is still there. Hold on, let me put my website in here. Now, when you go to my website, don't just look at the homepage. I have a basic homepage that almost anybody will have. You could just add a few things, but I added a ton of different links and pages as you go to the right. And so play around with it, Don, if you want to, but you'll see some things that I've added and been able to do. And we'll go into more of that stuff when we get to the website training. But Zap is still there, okay? And this actually goes back to even the beginning of this whole process. Just because Moxi Works is launching doesn't mean all of a sudden everybody stops getting searches and you have no CRM. So don't freak out when this new stuff comes out and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? The people that are already in those platforms like Zap and Business Builder are still getting their campaigns, are still getting searches, are still there until you turn them off or until the end of the year when it's all bye-bye. Okay? So you have time. Don't worry about it. But since Zap is there and you have time and you get to create not create your website, but make some adjustments and things like that. And your website is not just readily searchable on the web. It's still that Zap website is still the one that everything gets directed to. So once you are done setting everything up on your website, you like the way it looks, you have your domain set up, you have all that kind of stuff. You need to get all that changed in Dash so that way it pushes everybody to your Moxi website. So just kind of think about that. Okay. Next up, if you like the challenge, is there anybody on here that like is super techie, likes going above and beyond, doesn't like just the basic stuff that's out there? I'm gonna wait for someone to answer on that one. Let's see what we got. Don, I think you are. You like going above and beyond, right? Do you have OCD? No? Okay. I'm sorry. You're the only two I see on here, Candace. It does like with at least with your face. So I apologize if I keep saying that. But look, the website is pretty simple. It's basically done for you. There's some things that you can adjust on it and get moving on it. It's a one-time kind of setup and you don't have to really touch anything. But if you like technology and want to play around a little bit, feel free, make some custom pages. You don't have to show them off, but make some custom pages, play around with it and see what you think. Sheena, yeah, I will be sending out this deck for you.
Well,
oh, did someone just say something?
Yeah, I just want to know I would like to look at your website.
What's that?
I would like to look at your website.
Yeah, it's jimmymcnally.com. Did I not send that?
You did.
Just it's jimmymcnally.com.
Okay.
You know what? Why not? All right. So this is what my website looks like. All right. So I'm going to show you something and there's no judging. Okay. I do this thing where I dress up like Batman. Okay. And I do, I have fun with it. Okay. I have some fun with it. It's just a Bat Realtor. Go ahead and hashtag it, Bat Realtor, have fun with it. You know, look at my webpage, all that stuff. It's something random that I do and I had some fun with it. And I got some and I go, not everybody's going to want to, you know, buy a house with Bat Realtor. But yeah, so anyway, so you can see even on my homepage, I did add some videos, but you know, some of the cool things that I was able to add, and again, we'll get more into it. I don't want to go too far, but like, for instance, here, like so Beggins partnerships. So Century 21 Beggins, we have some partnerships that, I mean, some of the same things that every Century 21 has, but this is a webpage that is not just normal for everybody. And I made it. So this talks about Knock, which is a program that we partner with for swapping their homes and being able to buy a house without having to sell their other one. We talk about this one here is kind of our rent any home program. So we know Home Partners. So this is that program there. So just, there's a lot that you can do. And like I said, when we get into the website training, you know, in a few weeks, we'll be able to go through that. Take some time for your testimonials. You're going to have to bring them over. So you can either copy them from Real Satisfied. You can add a brand new page. There is a Real Satisfied widget. So that's not automatically done for you. So it's something that you're going to want to spend some time on. And I don't know what this is. If you have a domain, log in for all that. The last thing I always put in here, I tell everyone, listen, your website is only as good as the people that are using it. Just because you got this brand new website doesn't mean you're going to get 1,000 leads that are just going to start flying in from nowhere. And there's rainbows and butterflies and all this stuff. You're like, oh my God, a website. It's not like that. It's only as good as the people that you have using it. So as you start getting people to search more onto your website, setting up searches in Moxi Engage, it brings them to your website. And then there are some things that you can do with this that Zap didn't allow you to do when it came down to SEO management and trying to get, you know, your search out there a little bit more. And then finally, for the last piece for the agents, this is just kind of last few things. Practice, clean up your database. I already talked about great time to start, fresh, schedule yourself, use Moxi support for all your little questions. Okay. And there's this really cool link here that you can actually go to, and it's where you put your support tickets in, but it's not just about support tickets. They do, if you're having an issue, or if there's something that you want added that you wish it had. I will tell you, from our launch till now, they are listening. So if there's something that it can't do, take the time, throw in a ticket so they can look at it. It might be an easy fix or something that they can add to make it work for you. So any questions on the agent standpoint, because that's all I have there. I did have a question through here. Zap can't handle Chinese characters, can we? I do not have 100% answer on that for you. I did send that question up. They do not believe it can. The gentleman that I talked to said on a bulk upload, it probably will not work. best way to try it is to add somebody and put the Chinese characters in and see how it takes it. That's what I would say. And a lot of this stuff is kind of trial and error. So I hear a lot of people say, well, this is a huge, this is a huge company, Moxi, and Century 21 is a huge company. This should be seamless. I will tell you, as an early adopter, you always have issues. You're a pilot. You're trying to figure out how things work. So I know from my past life before real estate, that's what I did, is rollouts. I did software, like any type of product or certain, like just tons of different types of rollouts for big companies. And when it comes to technology, regardless of how good a company is or how well everything should work, that's why everything's launched in phases. Imagine if every brokerage launched at the same time and we had the hiccups, it would just be detrimental. And this is a huge launch. So if it's not done right and we don't engage and understand that, hey, you know what, there's going to be some hiccups. So please don't get frustrated with it and say, I'm not going to use it. Because if you're using one of the other ones like Zap or Business Builder, it's going away eventually. I don't have a date on Business Builder, but I know with Zap, by the end of this year, Zap is going to be gone. You're not going to be able to add anyone. You're not going to be able to use anything. So you need to start taking the time now and unlearn some of that stuff and learn how to use this. And there's going to be some hiccups. There always are. But it's how we handle those hiccups and how we get it taken care of. Now, another issue that I hear is it's taken forever support and everything to come back. I will let you know that they are hiring 25% more staff will be hired with Moxi by the end of the summer. So a couple months. So it might take a little bit of time. That's 25% more people to answer our questions and get our tickets taken care of. So they hear us and they're working through it. They're not just going to throw their hands up and say, here you go. So I just wanted to throw that out there again, because I know it's, I know we've heard some stuff. So I'm going to try not to take too much more time, but I said I would go over some broker stuff. So what I recommend on the broker standpoint, listen, if you're getting ready to launch, you're going to hire a product champion. You're going to have a champion. Let me fix that. I can't type at all while I'm talking. I can drive a car, answer the phone, eat a hamburger, and drive with my knee, but I can't type and talk at the same time. I don't understand it. You got to make sure you hire the right champion. So this is for brokers and managers. You got to make sure that you have the right person in the right place that doesn't have to know technology, but needs to be willing to help people understand, have the time. I am seeing that, putting the wrong person in the place and not having the time to be able to go through this is actually pretty detrimental for the broker. So hire the right, you need to put the right person as a champion in place to be able to really rock this out. Also, find other agents that like this stuff, not to use them to teach it out, but have them be your cheerleaders. If they are using the technology, some of the things we did is we actually had some kind of like roundtables with the agents that were using it to give best practices and really what it came down to is the business that they got from it. Because really, I don't care what it does. Is it going to give me more business? Or what it really does is it's going to give you the time to be able to do the things that you need to as an agent, which is talk to people instead of trying to figure, but it's going to take time up front to learn it to give you that time down in the future. Training. One of the things that we did on a broker standpoint is follow a Century 21 throughout there, but not only do we do the Century 21 trainings, we do our own trainings, we do one-on-one trainings. I go to all eight offices and spend time in each one, going through each one of the modules, not one-on-one, but in a group setting, not on Zoom, with your laptop, so you can learn together and get through the issues that you may have. I also have basically a learning center where any video training, anything that we do that agents can go back at any time. And as a broker level, they can see what we are doing with Moxi. I also have even something called Tech Tips of the Week, where it's quick 1 minute, 2 minute, how to do this. So, because everybody learns differently. So as a brokerage, you got to be able to meet the agents where they want to learn. Okay. You have to ensure that your dash roles are correct. So as agents, if you don't have access to something that you should, it's most likely because the roles in dash are not correct. So as a brokerage, you want to make sure that your managers and leaders have the right roles to be able to make presentations, campaigns, and things like that for you. Right now, if you have not launched, now start to think about what you want, some of the templates and presentations you want. So one of the things that we have specific presentations made for our agents, so they don't have to do anything if they don't want. yes, spend the time, make your own presentations and do that stuff. But we realized that if we can make it as easy as possible, more agents will use it. So we are always updating presentations, adding presentations, and keeping it so the agents, literally you can 7 clicks, you have a listing preview presentation ready. You get a new buyer, 6 clicks, you have a presentation that you can send to a buyer you just met. Literally take however long it takes for it to load up on your computer, and it's done. Okay, same thing with campaigns. So as a brokerage, as an agent, you cannot make your own campaigns, but the brokerage can make them for them. Now, there are quite a few that will be automatically downloaded that you have to add. I'll show you how to do that when we get into Moxi Engage, but start thinking about any other templates that you might want to have. We do a lot of we have a lot of investor projects that we're working on as a brokerage. So we have some presentations and things that are made for specifically that, and campaigns that are set up for, you know, investors based in, let's say, Florida. Use all the guides. Let's see, content. Okay, I already talked about that. Let's see what else we got in here. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. So once you get to launch, you know, some things to do on the brokerage and management standpoint that we did that worked really well is challenges and contests. When it came down to CMAs delivered, updating your tasks and Engage, adding birthdays and Engage, best website challenge, things like that to get people engaged in using it. Give a little prize for it, but really what it does is at the end, they get so comfortable with it and they end up getting business with some of it. It's like, that is to me, that's a win no matter what, but it just kind of gets everybody going and challenging them to do it. One of the things we did, is after the corporate training, we literally followed up with a training of our own the week after. So after they launched it, they were able to kind of look at it. I did another training that we did for the entire brokerage, similar to the one from Century 21, but we just wanted to hit it one more time before we started doing the more in-personal trainings. Captain to have designated availability in one-on-one for training. So I kind of taught, I have a Calendly link that I add to everything, and I am available for whatever they need. They can easily schedule an appointment with me where they can sit down and go over whatever it may be. Now with Moxi, you do not have access to everybody else's stuff. As a broker, I cannot go in and just see everybody's contacts. And Zap, you can actually log in as somebody else. You can actually log in as an agent, so you can see kind of what's going on. With Moxi, you can't. But one of the things you can do with Moxi is if Candace wants me to help her out with something and she wants, you know, she can give me access to all of her Moxi if she wanted to. So if you're having an issue, like one of the things I like to do is when you get to the website domain specifically trying to point that, it gets really confusing for people. I tell them, send me your info, give me access to it, and I'll do it for you. That's just something I do. I'm not saying every broker should do that, but you know, I've had other brokerages that will help upload contacts from other CRMs and those kind of things. So, but you can give access as an agent to a broker or manager to be able to help you with anything. When it comes to issues specifically where you may need support, that's probably where I would recommend giving access to them so they can see kind of what's going on to see if they can help you. Okay. And quick start guides. Moxi has a ton of that. I would use what is already available for you and point that and give that to agents. I know giving a quick start guide when somebody's having an issue with a known issue for something, sending that out is fantastic. Instead of just saying, hey, click this, it's a nice visual where they can read through and see actually, you know, how to do it. Once you get into post-launch, this is the thing. You can't do everything until it really kind of gets loaded in. So you want to ensure at a broker and manager level that all the dash info is correct. So who has admin access, who can make, because if you don't have the access correct, then you can't make presentations for everyone. And as a broker, I can see the presentations that are made, or a manager, I can see that I have access to see the engagement around, let's say Moxi Present, to see how many presentations that we're making. One of the things that we do is a tip of the week. Like I said, 45 to 90-second video that we send out weekly just on how to do things. Moxi has some of that stuff already with like 15-minute increments and 10-minute increments. I wanted to make something that was short and sweet, but use the content that's already available and send out kind of weekly tips just so people have something to look at that's a little different than watching me on a Zoom do something. Communicate Moxi after the hours, timeframes and stuff for agents. So knowing when those trainings are available, because that will save time for brokers and managers if the agents take it upon themselves to start looking at some of these other avenues for training. We did a panel of top users, which was fantastic and really got some good insight and got agents that weren't using it to really get pumped up. So that's why it's important to find those agents that can be cheerleaders to kind of help push the engagement of using it and use them, you know, for best practices and things like that. I kind of talked about this already on the agent standpoint, but communicate, you know, Zap and Business Builder has not gone away right away. It's not gone. It will be. But again, don't freak out. Don't get overwhelmed as an agent. Same thing as a broker or manager. Understand that there's some time that you have in between all this to kind of get these things taken care of. So, but use your time wisely. This was something that we didn't catch right away and we had to get into it. But if you have any type of onboarding materials, make sure they're updated. Get rid of the Zap stuff. Put the Moxi stuff in there. Make sure that everything coincides with what's happening with the launch. You don't want to have, if you're bringing somebody brand new on and you're going through onboarding, you don't want to talk to them about Zap. Why? We got Moxi. That's what we need to be talking about. Ensure on Leads Engine, you want to ensure that Leads Engine rules are correct. Groups are set, areas served are correct for agents. So you have to take some time up front to make sure that zip codes are correct, groups are correct, all that kind of stuff. And you can't do that until it really launches. So you have to make sure that that day of launch, you get in there right away and start adjusting correctly. One thing we did do is we did not turn on engagement rules and Leads Engine right away because we didn't teach everybody how to use Moxi Engage. So in Lead Router and Zap, you had to, if you got a lead and you didn't follow up, it turned red, right? And then you had to do something in Lead Router or you had to do something in Zap to show that you connected with them, contacted them, and get out of the red so you can get leads. If you don't train them how to use Engage and what qualifies as actually following up with them, within 24 hours, they don't get any more leads. So I recommend don't have that turned on for now until everybody gets trained and then flip it on once everybody knows how, because I don't think it's fair to the agents if they don't know how to use something to get penalized for that. Okay. And the next part is that is training how to update a lead on engagement rules. So what qualifies as a engagement to say that you did follow up, and then make sure your follow-up rules are correct and what you want as a broker. How fast do they need to follow up when they get a new lead? Is it 24 hours? What happens after 24 hours? When's the next time that they have to reach out to them? You can make those rules up. So it's what you want as a brokerage or as a manager for the office. Another thing we did, which actually helped me out a ton, is train the trainer. We did a train the trainer event where I basically walked through how to use the system, but how to use the system as you are an onboarder. So you are somebody who works with a brand new agent that comes in, or some of the other managers aren't as involved with, you know, Moxi up front, having them come in and learn how to use the system, but also on an admin standpoint, because that's kind of the first line of defense. So if somebody has a question, they're going to go to that person that brought them on board and taught them how to do stuff. So they weren't as comfortable with it. So we did this great train the trainer event. It took a couple hours, but went through it so they were more confident and comfortable with everything. All right, the rest of the stuff here this will be my last slide, post-launch for brokers. So once you launch, because again, you cannot make templates, you can't do anything until it launches. So once it does launch, get in there, make your templates that you have for Moxi Present. So you have your buyer and seller templates or whatever you're going to do. Make a recruiting presentation for Moxi Present. Something that we did also, just take the time to do that right off the bat. As a broker, you can make campaigns in Moxi Engage. So what does that look like? And I would get in there and start making those right away if that's what you decide you're going to do. Work on your broker website, set the example. I set the example more on my website because I didn't want to screw up the broker's website. I wanted mine to look like trash if I screwed it up, not the brokerage. So, you know, get in there, get comfortable, and then start playing around with the websites. Update all the websites, social media accounts, and Dash for agents. So once they're good with their website, that's something that you need to follow up and make sure that's going in there. Understand how the sales flow works and be prepared to teach out how agents can change and fit their business. The sales flow is part of Moxi Engage. That's basically your pipeline. Okay. And think of Moxi Engage. It's kind of a mixture of, let's compare it to Zap. Zap, if you put someone up on a follow-up campaign, may only be emails, or it could be touch points and emails that then you have to do stuff, right? Well, in Moxi Engage, all campaigns are automatic emails that have a time frame that they go out. So you don't have to worry about that, but there are tasks. So when you get a new lead, there's specific tasks that they call that are part of the sales flow. So if I get a new prospect that looks like they're getting ready to buy a home, there's specific tasks that you need to follow up with and do to follow up with them to get them ready to become active and actually looking for houses and stuff like that. It's a very generic version from Moxi and Century 21 of what that looks like. So as a brokerage, real estate is very micro, right? It's in Tampa could be phenomenal. In Michigan, it's not. Or in this city compared to that community, whatever it is, everybody does things a little bit differently. So I would take the time to look at those sales flow tasks as a brokerage and manager of the brokerage and see, how you may want to adjust them so it makes sense for your brokerage. And to give you an example of a task is when you get under contract and you put somebody pending in your sales flow. So it's someone that's under contract. In Florida, one of the first things you need to do is typically our contracts, the escrow is either delivered at time of contract or within 3 days. Okay, that's normal. In Moxi, it says to verify that the deposit was done 7 days from when they become pending. You're going to want to adjust that to make sure it makes sense for you and your brokerage. That's all. Have your champion give recap after monthly calls. So make sure you're getting with your champion to make sure, because we are always training. We're on calls every month, learning best practices, seeing what's changing, what's not, giving our input. Should make sure as a broker or manager, you're following up with whoever that champion is to see what's going on. And then finally, my last take for brokerages is you set the tone for Moxi. Okay, you need to have an elevator pitch, if you want to call it, ready for agents as they have concerns. Again, technology is great, but there's always some type of little hiccup here and there. There's going to be hiccups. Like I said, that our launch was not perfect, but I feel we did a really, really good job of launching this product and getting some engagement. But as a leader, if somebody comes up to you and is frustrated with the system and you say, you're right, Moxi sucks, I guarantee if you have that mindset going across to all of your agents, no one's going to engage with it. You're not going to talk about it. And then remember, Zap and Business Builder are going away. This is where everything is going. You're going to end up falling behind once all this stuff goes away if you don't get in and use it. And at the same point, as a leader, you need to get in there and learn how to use this too, so you can overcome some of those objections of why people don't want to use it and don't want to do it. Because if you don't know how to use it and what it can actually do for the agents, it's going to be very hard if they get frustrated on something because they're comfortable on something else. It's very, very hard to get them to turn the channel, turn the page, I guess you could say, if you have not even played around and know what the capabilities are. So I think I'm done, unless anybody has any questions that they want answered. If they want to see anything real quick, I already went over an hour. Thank you for hanging out, having a good time with me. I know it was fantastic, right?
Have you compared this to any other programs like this with the competition?
I have not. I've only worked with Century 21, so all I've had is like Zap and Business Builder. And about 5 years ago, or probably, I think it was about 5 years ago, as a brokerage, we were actually we researched other programs similar to this, and we were going to go with Moxi, but the cost was just so outstanding. It was ridiculous how much it costs, because Moxi just doesn't go out to anyone. If you're more of a mom and pop type brokerage that only had 5 employees, you have to do a certain amount of business for them to even consider coming on board with you. The nice thing with Century 21 is we have all these brokerages. So that was kind of a benefit for us. Now, what have I heard? I've heard, let's say, KV Core. I know that's something that's out there too, right?
Right.
So I will tell you that, people think that that's pretty easy to use compared to this, but my challenge to any of that stuff, because I've never used it, is when you're comfortable with one thing. I mean, you get out of bed, which leg do you put in first to your pants? You do right leg or left leg?
I have no idea.
Right? Or both. Maybe you're just like, woo, let me just jump in and do it, right? So let's say you're the person that always puts when you get out of the bed, when you first wake up, you put your right foot down all the time. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You change and start putting your left foot down, or you start trying to put your left foot in first when you put on. Me, it's my shoes. I have to put my right shoe on first. If I try my left one, I almost fall over. It's weird, but we train ourselves when we're comfortable with something that it always works and you get it taken care of. So my challenge all the time to any of that stuff is, well, guess what? Like, it's going to be tough, but you have to learn it. And once you learn it, to me, again, I learned Zap. I call myself a Zap expert. I was comfortable with it. I was the trainer. Everybody came to me for everything. And I know it had its issues. And there were there's a lot of things you couldn't do. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm out. Like, I don't know, but I have to do this. Someone needs to support it. We get Moxi. Yes, there's some hiccups here and there, but I will tell you that, and it's not just, I get the same training everybody else does. I literally got the same exact training everybody else does, but I feel like I am an expert with Moxi. I know where to get the answers. I know how to use everything. Obviously, I'm using it every day. I'm training it every day, but I'm seeing the issues every single day. And then my past experience, knowing that these things happen, I'm going to give it a shot no matter what. But the other thing, I think the best CRM or the best whatever it is that you have is the one that you're getting from the brokerage. Yes, I know we pay a little franchise fee and stuff like that. We're paying that regardless. That's there. Why not use the tools that we have that are part of it, See, I had another question in here. Let's see. I have to leave. Thank you so much. Looking forward to it. Thank you. What else? Anybody else have any other questions or want to see anything?
No, but thank you very much. It's extremely helpful. So I appreciate you taking the time, your personal time to show us this and go over best practices.
Yeah, definitely, Michael. I appreciate you jumping on, and you guys keep a lookout. I will be adding next week. I mean, well, let me ask you, since I have, what is it, 14, 15 of you? I think we had like 19 total that jumped in here. Would you want to see trainings like every week, or is that too much for you? So if I said, hey, next week we're going to go over Moxi Present, the week after we're going to go over Moxi Engage, the week after we're going to do Moxi websites, is that something you would rather see like weekly or like bi-weekly? Because I don't want to kill everybody learning all this stuff.
I think either is fine.
Okay. Weekly. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll send something out. I'll put something on Workplace like I did before. And then it'll get shared out from everywhere else. So you can register for next week. I'm going to switch them I'm going to probably do Wednesdays, just work a little easier for me personally. So I'll probably be looking at every Wednesday at 1:00. We'll do something. And we'll try to go over each one, and then maybe eventually we'll dig a little bit more into each one after we kind of get through the basic stuff, if that's cool. So I do appreciate everybody jumping on. If there aren't any other questions, you all have a fantastic rest of your weekend, all that good stuff. Hopefully I'll see you next week for the next one.
All right. Appreciate your time, Jimmy.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.